Hi, Blake with Boulevard Home. Today, we're making the gamut here. We're gonna talk about side-by-side refrigerators. We're gonna talk about 3 different models of side-by-side refrigerator. Now, they're gonna run in the price range of about a little over $1,000 to about $1,300. We'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each. Hopefully this will be helpful for you if you're in the market looking for a side-by-side. You know, a lot of people still like side-by-sides. They're kind of a dying breed, but you know, a lot of you still really like them. So we're gonna talk about all the advantages or disadvantages if you're looking to buy this type of refrigerator. Okay, so for this model here, this is a Whirlpool side-by-side. Now, this model has been around for a long time. They've made some cosmetic changes and a few mechanical changes. With any side-by-side, I don't care who the manufacturer is, I don't care what their name is. The disadvantages of a side-by-side, in my opinion, is capacity. I mean, yes, it has capacity, but your capacity is pretty small as far as what you can fit in the refrigerator, and a lot of stuff you have to stack way down to the floor. And as you're getting older like I am, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, so you know that I'm older. Bending down all the time to reach in that bottom drawer to pull it out to get cheese or meat or something, that gets to be old after a while. You're kind of limited as far as the way you can put the shelves. The shelves are basically where they can be in this. You can't really adjust them any place other than what you see on the inside. Now on the door here, you can adjust these shelves around. If you have certain types of sauces, bottles, you can adjust it for your height, and this also handles one down there for your milk if you want to put milk in the door. I don't like putting milk in the door personally because it puts a lot of weight on the door for one. Yes, it does save room on the inside, but all that weight on the door does cause the doors to sag over time, and generally the door is usually about 3 to 4 degrees warmer than it is in the back of the refrigerator. So if you want to keep that milk nice and cold, the best place to store it is not in the door. But with this, what is nice about this unit, it does use LED lights. Now the lights aren't on right now, but it does use LED lights, so you don't have to worry about changing the light bulbs in them. They should last for the most part. I won't say they haven't, but they'll last mostly for the life of the product. You don't have to worry about changing them. It does have nice glass shelves in it. Your drawers are really nice, have nice rollers on it. The filter isn't in the refrigerator section. Now, most refrigerators nowadays have filters in them. This particular one, the filter is not up top where it's easy and convenient to reach for most consumers. The filter on this is actually located beneath the freezer door right here at the very bottom. So you have to bend over to get the filter out and also put the filter in. So again, if you're older and you don't want to bend over so much, it's not the greatest place to have a filter, but that's where it's located. But it does save you room inside the refrigerator compartment, gives you more cubic feet because you're not having to have the filter inside this compartment here. So that is an advantage and disadvantage. It depends on which way you want to look at it. Is your glass half full, half empty? I'll leave that up to you. Standard freezer, the refrigerator side is bigger than the freezer. The freezer really doesn't have a whole lot of capacity to it. I mean, it has capacity to it, don't misunderstand. But as far as putting a bunch of pizza boxes and a bunch of other stuff in this, you're going to be doing a lot of rearranging, a lot to put things in there. So when you have your standard pizza box like I do right here, this is basically for your frozen pizzas. As you see, this barely fits in here. I mean, it like barely fits. So it's not much room in here. So if you have anything else on the sides or anything such as over here on the side, it's definitely not going to fit. You have to have a shelf dedicated for this. And if you go this way, you can see it definitely doesn't fit this way. Now it doesn't fit this way either. So your only choice is really having a flat pizza box, and you know that if you want to put this pizza box in there, you're going to have to rearrange everything within the freezer to fit it or put it at an angle, and it's not very convenient. And this is the drawback for any side-by-side. I don't care whose name's on it, it's a disadvantage. I can speak from personal experience. I have a side-by-side at my home. It's been in there for 20 years. When it dies, I'm going to get a bottom freezer, but this is one of the things that I fight with my personal side-by-side, trying to fit things in there and constantly having to rearrange stuff, or my wife rearranges things and then I have to come in after and say, I put this on this shelf, where is it now? Because she had to rearrange it to fit something in there. And I'm sure that my wife personally does it all the time, just so I have to ask her where stuff is because she wants to feel important. But that's okay. I love you, honey. It's the truth. And there's probably a lot of people out there that's going to agree with me. They say, the husbands always ask where stuff is, and they always have to ask me where it is. That's because you move it somewhere where we knew we left it, and you moved it somewhere else because it's better here. Just saying. Okay, back to the refrigerators. Thing that is a disadvantage with all of the new refrigerators, this is just a personal opinion as far as a technician goes, are the ice makers. The ice makers nowadays, they are all a flex mold ice maker for the most part. Now, I know there's exceptions, but they've all went to a flex mold. A flex mold meaning you have a tray that twists and turns and it cracks the mold and then the ice falls out into the vent. Now, as a general rule, the flex molds, they don't make ice as fast as the old type of ice maker where you had a mold and you had a heater at the bottom to kick them out. Now, those actually made more ice cubes per batch. So these are a little bit slower with any flex mold ice maker. The old ice cube trays, the blue ones, you know, that you'd put inside there and you'd flex them enough, eventually they're gonna break. Well, same is gonna happen with these ice makers. I mean, it's not gonna be right away, but 7 or 8 years down the road, these ice makers, the molds start to flex enough that they start to crack and you have to replace the ice maker. So that is something you need to be aware of with all the new ice makers on all the refrigerators. Not a big fan of the newer flex molds, but again, the manufacturers have to go to it for a lot of different reasons. A lot of them are energy reasons and stuff like that. So another kind of a disadvantage to this refrigerator, if you ask me, is the on-off switch is located underneath the ice maker right about where my finger is right here. That's the on-off switch. Most people, when they're looking to turn their ice maker off, they really can't find it, even though it's labeled very clearly on this where it is. They have a struggle in finding that on-off switch for it. So, but that is where it's located at. I wish they would have put a different place, maybe on the front right here or somewhere where it's a little more convenient. But overall, the refrigerator is a good refrigerator. It's got a lot of great working parts. This design, like for this Whirlpool, has been around for a long time. So out of 10, I would give this unit a solid 7. Not the worst, better than average, and you definitely could not be afraid to go look at this refrigerator and to bring it home and put it in your home and get a lot of good years of life out of this unit. We're now in front of this Frigid Air side by side. Now this is a very good unit. I'm a big proponent of Frigid Air refrigerators. They've been very good for a long time. You know, I'm a big fan of their bottom freezers. I know people think that I've got this thing for Frigid Air, and I really don't, but they build solid refrigerators. That's all I can say. So take it for what it's worth. But this is a very good refrigerator, very solid. You know, you have your ice and water up front. As far as on the inside of this, it's very similar to the Whirlpool unit. There are advantages to this one. Where the Whirlpool only has a light back in the corner, this one has lights that are actually on the sides here. The light is directed back, so you're seeing a lot of light from the front to the back instead of from the back to the front, which you can actually see your food better overall. So this has some advantages that way. As far as the shelving and stuff in this, this one does give you the advantage of being able to adjust your shelves a little bit. You have one more shelf slot right here that you can move the shelves up and down so you can adjust them for what you like. You have some nice glass shelves in this, just like you do the Whirlpool. This one has the filter up in the corner up in here. Now, again, we talked about the other one. There's a little bit of a disadvantage. It's advantage and disadvantage. It's easy to change because to change this one, you just push it in with your finger, it pops out. You just have to do a simple push in, it pops right out in your hand. When you put it back in, it's the same thing. You just put it up here in the corner and you push it in just like that and it's in. Super easy, you don't have to bend over to do it. But when you have that in there, it does take away from your total capacity of the unit as far as I'm concerned, because you can't stack things up tall right there because that will kind of prevent it from being very tall. This one's a little bit nicer because it does have a place up there you can put an air filter inside the refrigerator compartment, which is nice. So if you don't cover your food, you can put an air filter inside of here instead of a box of Arm & Hammer. But again, you have to change the air filters out because they are carbon, so make sure you do replace it. With your freezer compartment, they've actually got it off-centered this way a little bit, so you can put like your frozen pizza box right here, so you can put them right there, which is nice. You can have that a dedicated shelf for your pizza boxes if you love pizza. That's a nice place to put it, and that's basically what they designed it for. If you put it down below, you know, again, it'll just barely fit. To be rearranging to get these pizza boxes in down here, but up here there's not much else you really can put up there, so take advantage of that space and put that up inside there. With the ice maker, this is a flex mold ice maker. This bin right here holds roughly about 4 to 6 pounds of ice. I'm not sure the actual capacity of this one, but it's one of the two. I think this one is, a 4. But the ice maker itself only makes roughly 2 pounds of ice per day. So to fill that bin up without using any ice, it can take 2, possibly 3 days if this is a 6-pound bin. So take that into consideration when they call in and say, gosh, it's not making ice very fast. It's not extremely fast. As the summer gets warmer and our groundwater gets warmer coming into our taps, and you have to turn it on longer to get cold water there, or even get cold water whatsoever. Where we're at right now, our groundwater is 74 degrees, and that's as cold as it's going to get. It takes longer to make ice because that water going in there is warmer. It's got to cool down, so it takes longer. So this does have the nice glass shelves in here. Again, they're fixed, and you have some nice sliders down there, and you have your bins in here. You have a little bit more space in this one, the way the Frigid Air designs are compared to the Whirlpool, strictly because where they put their augers and stuff in the Whirlpool unit, it's all right here, so you have a little bit less space right in this area here. But this is a very good refrigerator. This one is definitely 8 as far as a refrigerator. There are some flaws to it. When I say flaws, it's not perfect. Everything, I mean, nobody's perfect. I mean, no one could be me. So it's gonna have some flaws to it. But I would look at this unit very heavily. It's an excellent refrigerator and something that definitely will give you a good life out of this unit to have in your home for quite some time. All right, now this LG side-by-side here. I know it looks a lot like a bottom freezer, but you know, it is definitely a side-by-side. Looks are deceiving. On this one, this has a nice glass window, so you can knock on the glass and it lights up so you can see it. You know, if that's your thing to look inside your refrigerator, you want to knock on the glass to see it. I'd much rather just go like this because it's just as easy. But anyhow, on this unit here, this one is quite a bit bigger than the other two. This one is a 27 cubic foot. This one's a monster. Being this big, you have to make sure you have to have the space for it because it is quite a bit larger as far as capacity and size. With any LG refrigerator, LG's plastics and their fit and finish, I can't knock it. It's top-notch stuff. I mean, as far as their fit and finish. Now, they're top-notch as far as fit and finish. So let me say that one more time. Fit and finish. It is top quality because they have really nice shelves. When stuff fits in here, it fits solidly. There's no wiggle, there's no bend to it. Nice glass shelves, multiple places that you can put the shelves. Your filter, again, is up in the corner in this unit. So again, it takes away a little bit of the capacity, but it's still a very large capacity, even if with that filter being up there. So a lot of you know or don't know that LG's had compressor problems, and I've always been leery. They've said they've changed them, they've made them better. I'm starting to get some feedback that we're having some issues with them again. I'm not saying that that's true per se, but we're starting to experience a few problems with their 600A compressors not working properly and the 134 is not working properly. That's the older ones. Take it for what it's worth. It's a gamble with these because you never know. Because the compressors aren't failing right off the bat, they're failing 3 and 4 years down the road is when they're starting to fail. So we're starting to get to that point again where there've been couple years down the road, we're starting to see a few failures starting to pop up. So be mindful of that. Again, not knocking the LG, I'm just letting you know the truth of what we're seeing. So, and even though we're not seeing failures on every unit, we are seeing a few. So, you know, just keep that in mind, you know. So is the quality great on this? Yeah, I mean, you know, LG stands where it looks good as far as I'm concerned because it does look great. But you have this, you have the nice large bin at the bottom, which is really nice. You have the smaller one here. On this side over here, the ice maker is here in the door, which is really nice. And this also has the secondary ice maker up in here. This is your craft ice maker. So you have 2 ice makers in this. This is for the ones for dispensing. If you like to have your round ice cubes for your adult beverages, mix them right there, which is kind of convenient. But again, when you have this other secondary ice maker, you are cutting down a lot of your capacity in this refrigerator here. Okay, so our pizza box test, again, it barely fits in there. You know, so it does fit in there, but again, you're gonna have to do the same type of deal with the rest of them. You have to rearrange food. You can't put it on this particular one, you have nowhere to put it on the side because it won't make it unless you're removing a shelf. The shelves on this are fixed, you can't stand it upright. So again, that's something that you have to take in consideration with this refrigerator. And then you're also going to lose all this space right here for that secondary ice maker. The way they're making the refrigerators now is they're basically taking them down close to the floor as close as possible so you don't have all the openings at the bottom. That's how they're really making them larger for the same footprint. But when they do that, you also have to leave these out just from the wall just a little bit, just so they can get some breathing, because that is where all the air is pulled into the compressor compartment and also the hot air is released from it. So on this refrigerator, as far as quality refrigerator, the fit and finish, I would give a 10 on this refrigerator. I know I didn't break the other ones down, so I'm gonna break this one down. Mechanically on this, I probably give it a 6, and maybe even a 5, because again, there's always that question mark in my mind until these have been out long enough that I know the compressors are going to continue to work on these, because again, they look great, the fit and finish is great, the compressor's running, that's questionable at this point. And plus this has 2 ice makers, which are 2 more failure points on this refrigerator. Ice makers are a failure point. That is one of the weakest spots of anybody's refrigerator. Now you have 2 more points of failure on this refrigerator. So overall, I'd probably give this refrigerator probably, I know it's a 10 and a 6, they say average is probably 7.5, but I'd still give it probably a 7. I wouldn't, give it much more than that. We would like to show you a GE and a Samsung refrigerator, but unfortunately we don't have any on the floor right now, so we can't really show you the differences of them. The Samsung refrigerator, not a big fan of Samsung. I'll be straight up honest with you, for a lot of reasons. I would probably give a Samsung a 5, and we also have GE as far as an option. I would give a GE probably a 7 or an 8. I would not shy away from that refrigerator at all. So in saying that, that's about all we can show you with these. If you have any questions or any comments, please put them below. Please also like and subscribe if you have a minute, because I'd like to see you again somewhere along the way with one of these videos. And as we mentioned, with the failure points of the ice makers, we do have 2 other videos in our library that you can check out on what to do if your ice maker is not working. Before you call a serviceman to come out to service your refrigerator, I appreciate you watching, and I hope this has been informative, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Before you call a salesman,